Greetings from Moscow, Idaho. I thought I'd leave a little bit of a space between Moscow and Idaho, so people are like, he's in Moscow. All right. Um, you guys can see the board, right? Just a little bit. All right. Montreal Canadiens are 38, 5 and 7. They are a machine. We can debate about why, but really, honestly, Maurice Richard is a huge reason why. Detroit 26, 18 and 6. Toronto 22, 23 and 4. Chicago 22, 23 and 5. Boston and the Rangers are being crippled at this point by the war. 19, 26 and 5. And the Rangers, who are begging to get time off and not being given that by Red Dutton, who's now in charge of the league and was the guy in charge of the New York Americans, who they put out. He's like, yeah, you guys can just suffer. 6, 39 and 5, and that is some serious suffering. The red line has been added to center ice. Yeah, there was no red line up until now, so this is officially the start of the modern era. It's official. Congratulations. Herb Kane of the Boston Bruins scores 82 points in 48 games, and that's a record. At that point, that's a record. The Wings lost 9 players to military service. The Rangers lost 5 more than they had lost the year before. Teams are also losing money. Remember, this is during World War II. It's not like people are going out and spending their money at hockey games. There's other things they have to worry about. Ken Tubby McCauley, that's a very unfortunate nickname, sets a record with a 6.20 goals against average in 50 games played. He doesn't get a night off. You want to talk about goalies being worn out? He should be in the hall just for the fact that he didn't quit and leave about halfway through the year. Yeah, Kane's the only NHL scoring leader not in the Hall of Fame at the time the book was written that I used for this, which is from 2003. There are other scoring leaders who are not in the Hall of Fame, but it's not very often, so that's kind of important on some level, anyways. It's more of a trivia answer than anything else. Harry Lumley of the Detroit Red Wings becomes the youngest goaltender in NHL history at 17 years of age and 38 days. We talk a lot about kids coming in and not necessarily being ready. That's pretty insane that he came in that young. February 20th, 1944, the Chicago Blackhawks and Toronto Maple Leafs play the only game in NHL history that is scoreless and has 0 penalties. There wasn't a whole lot for people to cheer for or against in that game. Montreal Canadiens were unbeaten at home for the entire season. 22 wins and 3 ties in that regular season. So with all that decided, Montreal is taking over the league. This is when it starts. It won't end until the late 70s. So if you're not a Montreal fan, this portion of this month is going to be miserable. Semis, Toronto wins in Montreal 3-1. So they start the playoffs by losing a game at home for the first time all year. They make up for that by winning the next game 5-1. They win both games in Toronto, 2-1 and 4-1, and then they win game 5, 11-0. Yeah, that's not a typo. It's 11-0 on the board. And of course, Toronto fans will notice that it was 1 versus 3 and 2 versus 4. So where they should have had Detroit, instead they got Montreal, because if it hoses over Toronto, they'll do it. Chicago wins in Detroit 2-1. Detroit wins 4-1. Chicago wins both games at home 2-0 and 7-1. Chicago then wins in Detroit 5-2 to finish that series in 5. They move on to the finals where they meet the juggernaut that is the Montreal Canadiens. Montreal wins game 1 at home 5-1. They win both games in Chicago 3-1 and 3-2, and then they finish it off in 4. So this is another sweep. 5-4 in overtime is the final in that one. Your Hart winner, Babe Pratt of the Toronto Maple Leafs, who became the first defenseman in history to get 6 assists in one game. Gus Bodner of the Toronto Maple Leafs is your Calder winner. Bill Durnan of the Montreal Canadiens is the Vezina winner. And the Lady Byng Award goes to Clint Smith of the Chicago Blackhawks. Montreal, Detroit, Toronto, Chicago, Boston, Rangers. This is not the last time you're going to see those 6 teams in that order. And this is where things really start to turn into a Montreal league. It starts during the war, and it just continues on from there. Remember, these guys have won 24 Stanley Cups. So, with Montreal having 24 champions, we're going to be seeing me wearing a lot of Montreal jerseys over the next little while. And I assure you, this is only pop. It's not alcohol. All kidding aside, this is really when things start to turn around, and the league starts getting its identity, even though it's not making its money yet. And it's a sad time for the Rangers. But there you go. So let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Do not forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. You just happened upon this video. I'll talk to you again soon.